Hello, my name is Elle. Today, I am here to talk to you all about detransitioners not doing enough research. And in the same vein, but from the other perspective, the idea that detransitioners were lied to. So, today I'm going to criticize two sides of the same debate. If you've spent any time on the internet in gender critical spaces or detransitioning spaces, or probably at this point even trans spaces are starting to talk about this kind of thing. I personally haven't been in a trans space in a really long time, online especially, but even really in person. I spend time around leftists like often just because like my jobs and most of my friends lean left, unfortunately. But I I am on Twitter often. You could follow my Twitter if you're interested in keeping up with me more. It's L Palmer 1. And I follow a lot of gender critical discourse and gender ideology discourse. So I am keeping up on pretty much everything that goes on. And I see this stuff all the time, and I'm constantly thinking about it, analyzing it, and all of this. So you can trust me as a source for what I'm about to say and what I'm about to talk about. So, something that I see a ton is on the side of trans people, people will come hijack a detransitioner story and they'll say, you didn't do enough research before you decided to transition. That's the overall message that they're trying to convey. They're saying, you didn't know what you were doing, you didn't understand that there were reversible side effects to hormones, you didn't understand what you were getting as far as a surgery, you didn't think about the side effects, you didn't consider the risks. Essentially, it's all your fault. And that is something that I have seen very often. It's very common to see comments like that on a viral post made by a detransitioner, let's say. Somebody sharing, here's me, 4 years off of hormones. I wish that I had never gone through it. I still have like mastectomy scars or, something like that. And then you'll see floods of comments. Um, a lot of them are always supportive, which is great. Lots of people saying either like, this happened to me too, and I am in solidarity, or like, this is happening to my child, and I'm glad that you're speaking out, or like, I have so much empathy for you. And then there are always the people who are thrown in the mix, who are saying, well, this is all on you. You made a mistake, and now you're trying to take it out on the rest of the trans community and other trans people, and you are the one who fucked up. So this obviously distilled down comes from the idea that it's transitioning is a individual choice based on nothing else but your own mind and your own decision, with no other outside influences, no other um, peer pressures, no other issues, like nothing else is factoring in to this decision to transition besides I want to be a boy instead of a girl, and I'm gonna just take this testosterone to become a boy instead of being a girl. And that seems to be the argument on the side of the trans activists, is that um, just because you made a mistake doesn't mean that we shouldn't be allowed to do that. Um, so I just want to push back on that. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you are probably aware that I believe that a transgender identity comes from social contagion. It comes from growing up and having friends who come out as trans or non-binary or whatever, and you end up in a circle of people who identify outside of their natal sex and even outside of their outside of like straight, um you know, they're not straight, they're not identifying as whatever they were born. So ending up in a circle of people like this, especially when you're a teenager, especially when you're a girl, means that you are incredibly susceptible to influences. I mean, if you think about being a teenager, do you remember how vulnerable you felt and how much you wanted to fit in with other people and how you would have done anything to have the newest uh, the newest shoes, the newest purse, go see the newest movie, have the newest computer game or the newest phone. Like all of this, this social aspect of transitioning is so real, especially for children. And people, I think a lot of people forget what it's like to be a kid. And they don't remember that before you have a fully formed identity, you are trying to find out who you are. And when transgender ideology is being taught in schools and at this formative age where people are trying to figure out who they are, that's going to bleed into how people are identifying, like, period, as teenagers. It's a suggestion. It's not an overt, like, you are this way. Think about that. It's a nudge. It's a suggestion. It's an option. It's a, if you come out and do this, you will be so loved. You will be so accepted. You will have this incredible support. Even if your parents don't accept you, we will. Even if your friends don't accept you, you'll have us. And this is the message that keeps being broadcasted to all young people today who are in the schools that are doing this, which is a lot of them, who are online, on social media, in leftist circles, and even in non-political circles. There are kids everywhere who are seeing this stuff. By the nature of being online, this is getting spread from other teenagers and young adults, and it's bleeding down and down through all of the generations. And I know this is happening because I've seen this online. I have seen this in person. I have seen this from kids who ask other kids their pronouns. I work with kids and I've seen this. It's real. kids are now getting to the point where they're like, I don't want to assume your identity. And it's like, wow, we've never had to think about that before. And it has changed so much in just the span of a few years. Like, straight up, like 5 years ago, it was not like this. I promise you. I don't know if people forgot, like when COVID happened, if people just completely like wiped their memories clean. But it did not used to be like this, and people acting like it always was are the crazy ones. The ones acting like this is completely normal to happen, to do, for kids to be thinking about this, for kids to be coming out with trans identities. This is not normal, and this is not something that should be accepted without question. This needs to be re examined, and it is not isolated. One kid coming out as trans in a school full of kids who are also identifying as trans is not one isolated incident. It is a bigger picture thing. So that is where I stand when people say that it's your fault. I very much disagree. However, now I'm going to talk about the other side of this. When people that support detransitioners leave floods of comments underneath those same posts that are like, I stopped hormones 4 years ago. This is what I look like now. I have scars. I'm reminded of this every day. I'm in pain. It's horrible. Life is fucking hard as a detransitioner. We get lots of comments from people saying, you were lied to. The doctors failed you. Your parents failed you. The system failed you because you were lied to. You were not told the truth. You were not given all the information. People were keeping things from you, and you ultimately made this flawed decision based on not having all of the information that you needed to have. And I'm just going to say, I don't feel like that was the case for me, but it is the case for some people. And in a way, I'm sure that, some people have like a different idea of what that means. But I mean, if they're looking at it from the perspective that, like, yes, a 16-year-old, which is how old I was when I started testosterone, a 16-year-old obviously does not have all the information available in their brain to say this might not last forever, because a 16-year-old is not thinking about forever. A 16-year-old is thinking about right now and what's going to make them happy now, and getting what they want and not taking no for an answer. That's how my brain worked when I was 16. And if that's what people mean when they say that we were lied to, I would agree that, doctors making it seem like as 16-year-olds we will know what's going to be good for us forever. I would say that definitely we were lied to in that way. However, people often say, like, you didn't have all the information, or they will argue with somebody who said that that it was our fault, that we that it was our fault that we ended up detransitioning. A lot of these people will respond and they will say, well, they were lied to, they were kids, whatever. Here's my thoughts on this. I personally have autism. And this is not something that I have worked on with a professional yet. Not something that I have actually been officially diagnosed with, but I strongly suspect that I have autism. And so, believe me when I say I did the research, I knew what I was getting into. I wanted the effects of the hormones. I knew exactly what they were going to be. I wanted a deep voice. That was the number one thing that I wanted. I asked for that change. I took testosterone because I wanted a deep voice. And a lot of people, when they say that they were lied to, right, it means, oh, you thought that you could change sex. Like, you thought that you'd actually become a boy. And, like, maybe as a 16-year-old, I had a different idea of what transitioning meant. But I don't remember ever really thinking that I was going to change sex. I just remember thinking that I wanted to live as a boy, and that if I could get enough of these characteristics, I could live as a boy and be happy. That's, to me, having this discussion about how I knew the risks and I had done the research. I read the papers. I literally started reading scientific papers about the effects of hormones on male and female bodies to understand what was happening in my body, because first of all, nobody teaches you that. Nobody teaches you the in-depth happenings of your body when you're a teenager. Secondly, I wanted to know what would happen if I took testosterone as a female. I did that research. I read it to my mom because I wanted her to know how it would be for me as well. And I knew the voice getting deeper, I knew it was irreversible. Facial hair, I knew it was irreversible. I knew that clitoral growth was irreversible. I decided to start taking testosterone because I wanted these irreversible side effects. I wanted them. And I was a 16-year-old. And those two things can coexist. And I think, personally, that this makes the argument stronger against children transitioning. We don't have to say that we were lied to have a strong argument. I think it's a stronger argument to say we knew what we were doing, we wanted this, but then we grew up and we realized that what we wanted when we were teenagers doesn't translate to what we want as adults. And we shouldn't have been allowed to make that decision because we were teenagers. And despite knowing exactly what we were getting into, I knew exactly what the hormones were going to do to me. I regret them because I grew up. I think that that's more compelling, personally. And that's where my anti-transition belief comes from. I don't think that teenagers can make informed consent decisions to be able to transition. I also don't think that young adults have the full capacity to make that decision either. I don't think that until your brain is fully developed, I would say around 20 or a little bit later for some people, is when that development really kicks into adulthood. I didn't understand the long-term ramifications of what I was doing until I was 20. I stopped at 19, but I didn't consider how that was going to affect the rest of my life, really, until I was 20. And I started processing it. And that's when I started my YouTube channel. The fact that people think that 12-year-olds know, I don't even know how to talk to those people. And if that's you, thanks for listening, but I don't think I could have a conversation with you. Sorry. Hopefully you got something from this video, though. That's all I've got for you today. If you're interested in hearing more hot takes from me, go ahead and follow my Twitter. I post on there pretty frequently. And by that I mean pretty much every day. Also, you can follow my Instagram if you want. That one is pretty lighthearted. I just kind of post pictures of myself and I look cute in them most of the time. So if you want to follow me there, that would be great. I also have Patreon if you're interested. I kind of neglect my Patreon and I'm very sorry, but I'm really busy with my full-time job and taking care of my cat, and I'm sorry. But hey, I mean, if enough people are interested in my Patreon, maybe I'll do like some cat reveals on my Patreon. Maybe I'll start posting about my cat and you guys could get some exclusive cat photos. If you're interested, let me know. All right, that's all I've got for you. Shout out to Martin. He's my #1 supporter. He's the best. We love that guy. He's on my Twitter. He's on my YouTube comments. He's everywhere, and he's the best. Thank you, Martin. Thank you for the support. Thank you, everyone who has supported me. I'm gonna let this go, or else YouTube will get mad at me for talking for two more minutes. So I'm gonna go. Okay. Thank you for watching. Bye.